Welcome to the Trails Committee meeting, November 14th. I am calling the meeting to order at 7:32 p.m. We're going to do a roll call. Let me know you're here when I call your name. Satyendra Sharma.
Here.
Will Warren.
Here.
Tom McCoolier.
Here.
Kat McKee here. Great. So thank you. The first order of business is to review and approve the minutes from 10/19. Has everyone had an opportunity to check those out?
Mm-hmm.
If not,
Yes.
Was that Will, yes or no?
Yes.
Great. Any questions, comments? Okay. If not, does someone want to make a motion to approve the October 19th minutes?
So moved.
Great.
Second.
Will seconded that. Great. Thank you. Let's do a vote. Satyendra Sharma.
Yes.
Will Warren.
Yes.
Tom McCoolier.
Yes.
Kat McKee, yes. Great. Thank you all. Thank you, Sati, for drafting those. Okay, so next up is Peninsula Trail Phase 1. So I think I've received, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've only received timesheets from Sati. Tom, have you sent any timesheets?
You will tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. And then we had talked about that already, so thank you all. I do need to submit the reimbursement stuff. I have to get the payroll records from DPW for their in-kind support. It's going to be a little bit of complication just trying to pull all that information together and see how that works. So that's that news. And we need to talk about signage, but because we're still working on the applications for CPA and still waiting and pending, which I'll talk about in a minute, the Community Engineering Corps application, we're going to punt signage until next time. And then we do need to get, I am supposed to work with Sati on it, I think, right, Sati? After
Yes.
last meeting,
Yes.
to reach out. So
Yeah.
I will be more diligent about that. And I think Isabella is working on interpretive signs to close out the Choate Fund grant. And I do have, I do want to share with the committee just an idea of an interpretive sign. I took a picture of one on the trails recently that I thought was a really great way to have an interpretive sign without a lot of install needs. So give me just a second. Let me pull this up and share screens, because I think we can incorporate this where we already have posts and things. So you see this little sign here, it's like an 8.5 by 11. It's made from very robust material, has a QR code, a lot of information on it. And look how it's installed. So you see it has this little thing next to it. It's kind of this very interesting, attachment piece, and it's just on a small piece of plywood. So those things are really doable. And I think with some of the posts that we have up, we should be considering putting little signage rather than the very large signage that, for example, the town forest was had, and those types of things. So just for the record, this is where somewhere their dogs are permitted, so I'm not breaking the rules. But you see how it's kind of easily attached, right? So it's just an idea that we could incorporate. Instead of thinking big signage, we could do a little signage, and it might be more doable in some of our areas. And it actually helps decrease sign pollution, which can, we're in nature, we want to kind of work with environment versus against it. But that's that. Any questions on Phase 1? No.
Nope,
Okay.
that looks good.
Yeah, so Phase 2, so this is the recent, so last time we met with the CPA committee, and I thought we were supposed to meet with them for their November meeting, but luckily we were not, because I had not had enough time. The sequence of the meetings didn't work out, where recreation was coming out after the next CPA meeting, so we didn't have the letter of support. So since we last met, I've met with Recreation Commission and received a letter of support. I circulated that to you. That was very nice of them to put that together for us. I provided them a quick update on this, on the project. And I also met with the Council on Aging. I met with them on November 3rd, and we got really favorable reviews from them, and they voted to support the application as well. And they will be submitting a letter of support shortly. And also along the Council on Aging topic, on earlier in October, Sandy Keese reached out, and she's involved in a walking group, and she invited me to speak at one of their walks on November 20th. It's going to happen around noon. I can send you the information. I think it's at the senior center. So it's just a brief talk about resources in town, walkability, trails, that kind of stuff. Maybe a quick update on where we are and what we're doing. And we also want to have an interactive discussion with the group to hear feedback from them on what their experience is with the current trails, if they're using the trails, any feedback or improvements that we can focus on in the coming years to make the trails more friendly to all populations. So that will be happening, and I'll circulate some information. If you can attend, you're welcome to.
When was it again?
November 20th at noon, Monday. That's actually this coming Monday. Let me not think that's far away, because that's next Monday. Yeah, it creeps up. This month is flying by. So the CPA application, so I'm assuming their next meeting is going to be early December, because that's how it's been going. So what I need to do, so SPAC will, I don't know if you've heard from your committee chair, Bill Sines, but I've reached out a couple times. I think I haven't heard back yet on when we can meet with them for a letter of support. I do think it's important just to go into the application with it, since we are focused on accessibility, even though it's the second part of the phase. The boardwalk and footbridge will be accessible even if the trails aren't around it, but long-term planning is what we are hoping to do, is make as much of that accessible as possible. So I think having SPAC's letter of support would be useful. So Will, were you about to say something?
Just that I haven't heard about a date for the next meeting either.
Okay, so keep knocking on that door and see where we end up. We have a decision to make with regard to the community engineering application. So I'm going to call them. I've been quite busy at work with not being able to really take a lot of breaks during the day to make make calls, but in the next couple of days, I'm going to try to call them and ask them if they've had any movement. I think we're at the point, and I was sharing this with the Recreation Commission, we're at the point where, as much as we want to take advantage of this opportunity, it's pro bono engineering services. The timeline, and we knew this going into it, we can't really wait much longer, or we're risking the entire timeline of the project. So I think I'm going to reach out and see this week to see if they've made any progress, and I need the committee's support and input. If they said we're still waiting to hear, I think we as a committee have to make the decision that we need to move forward if they can't finalize it like in the next couple weeks. Like, it has to be that strict, because now what we're risking, and already kind of put on the line a little bit, is when we reach out to our engineering firms that provided our quotes and say we'd like to move forward, now we're looking at frozen ground, we're looking at their timeline, their bandwidth, the holidays, having to do geotechnical work in frozen ground puts the project back a little bit more. We wanted to go to bid a Q1, it kind of pushes that out a little bit. So we really need to make some decisions now. I waited this long. I was really hoping that this would come through. It's a great opportunity, but we would risk the entire funding.
Yeah, I think that the problem with them is that this is my guess, that they have another organization that is Engineers Without Borders.
Yeah.
And they have their local chapters like MIT or different universities, and they work with them.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of communication, and it's a lot of process based things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can only imagine. They do a lot of great work. So I wanted to open it up for discussion and see if anyone has any feedback or thoughts on, you know, pulling the trigger on this, because we have to kind of get going on the other.
I think
I agree. I agree.
So we
Is-
can document that we've waited this long, you know, as
Mhm.
much as we could, and the communication that we've had was positive, and we've kept the opportunity open as long as we could. Sati, can you make a note for the minutes that Sam Stivers has?
Yeah, I already done.
Thank you.
I saw it.
Yeah, so I'm a little disappointed in that, but you know, we roll with it, and it is what it is. So we'll move forward. So then the next challenge will be reaching out to our engineering firm, selecting one. So I want you to kind of, I think everyone should have the applications that we originally received from the engineering firm, and I think it's boiled down to is it Hair Corporation? I forget if it's pronounced that, or
I think it was, or hair, something like that.
yeah, or Par, I forget. Anyway, that or Beals and Thomas. So look at those applications, and what we're looking for is just to make sure that they're lining up to be providing the same services. They were a little bit off in money, I think 81 and 60 something. But we just want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. And if we have any questions, we want to really get our eyes in there and talk to them, make sure we're selecting the right vendor for the job, and that they're still interested and still have the bandwidth. That may also dictate which firm we go with. So I think, given that, we should probably meet right after Thanksgiving so that we can pull the trigger and have that ready to go.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. And I think so for the CPA application, what I need to do also is there's a couple of things. So we have the ADA paving quote from DPW. Thank you to them. I'm going to reach back out to the bridge and boardwalk people and get an updated quote from them. And what I'm looking for specifically is when we got the quote the first time, I don't think they included some of the little accessories that, like some of the plates that needed to be put in the boardwalk and things. So I'm going to ask for them to do a re-quote on that. The other thing I want us to consider is what Marlboro is doing, which is a really innovative
You see that?
approach, is that floating boardwalk.
It's very expensive though. I heard it's over $1 million.
The project was $2 million to start with.
Okay.
It's much less expensive than doing it the other way, because that's why they went to that. Have you seen it, Tom?
I drive by it when I take the Route 20 exit home.
Have
It looks
you,
really cool. I mean,
do
it's really cool.
the way it looks, do you think it would work in our situation? Because no. Because
No, we're going over a river. That's a still body of water. That's not, there's no current there.
okay, so not really something we should.
I don't think it will. And
Okay.
I don't think it will, because we have a river that, if they release a lot of water, is going to go up and down.
Well, not for the bridge, but for the where we're putting the boardwalk.
Yeah, I could definitely work for the boardwalk.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe, so what I'm beginning to think is, like, our costs are higher. So one of the questions I want to ask is, would a floating boardwalk be appropriate? That would get rid of I think that gets rid of the geotechnical.
It should get rid of a lot of that studies because the environmental impact is minimal.
Well, the geotechnical is supposed to be, can this land, this area, support the weight of a boardwalk that's installed into it? With a floating boardwalk, I mean, it floats, but it still has to have some sort of
anchor. Yeah, it has to have some anchors, but that's
but I'm wondering if that might change the engineering requirements.
Yeah,
so
good.
I'm kind of interested in exploring that with them. And then the other thing is, if the bridge is so expensive, like, I have been walking these local trails, and I mean, our bridge is not as long as some of these, but there's some pretty sophisticated wooden bridges out there, and I'm like, why is our bridge so expensive? and we purposely chose the fiberglass because we wanted the longevity. And I will say that, having attended the recent trail summit that was MAPC held in Framingham, they had a a trail in Framingham had a very long boardwalk that was made of wood and within 20 years needed to be completely replaced. So that's one of the considerations that we need to remind ourselves why we're looking at a more expensive install, because it will last the long, 75 years is what they're saying. So, but I am kind of like, well, if we're struggling with money, do we have to make a hard decision and decide a different type of bridge construction?
Pay now or pay later.
Yeah. So in order to get this project done, I might reach out when I talk to the engineers, I might just ask them their opinion on that. And see if we can get some guidance on whether we should be considering something else, just to make sure we have considered all options. Yes.
The only comment about that Framingham one that you said, if they don't do periodic maintenance and ignore it for 20 years, then it's a full replacement. If you maintain anything over the years and do a little updates and replacements and stuff,
yeah,
we'll call it the trickle over the years, and it's not as big of a cost. So
yeah, I understand, but I think wood rots, period. Wood in moist, shaded areas rot,
it does rot, but not the whole thing at once.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just trying to spitball ideas to like bring the cost down to make it more manageable, because we do have to get approval at town meeting and we have to have answered all these questions kind of ahead of time. So that's that. One other thing on that is, okay, so we had reached out, the Boy Scouts Troop 92 had reached out to me and Joyce Greenleaf of Stewardship. They did a project for Town Forest earlier this year. Or was it last year? It was earlier. I don't remember anymore. The years are blurred. Anyway, so I put forth an opportunity. They were looking for Eagle Scout projects, and I put forth the trail, the Peninsula Trail, because we need to build the trail, near the adjacent to Route 30. We have to literally build the trail. So there's no stopping us from doing that now. Right. And one of the engineer firms actually asked, can you make this open more so we can get our equipment in here to do our things? And we said we could. So Troop 92 came back and said, well, some of our scouts had a switch and change in what they were thinking and doing. So that opportunity didn't seem open. So we have another chance to go to reach out to Troop 1 and see if they have any Eagle Scouts that are interested in this project in a short timeline, like the timeline being build it now, between now and next, Q2, and get started on that. Or if not, then my recommendation is we reach out to community, like not Southborough troops, right? We reach out to Marlborough, we reach out to Framingham, we reach out to Ashland and see if there's another troop that might want to come and do a Eagle Scout project in Southborough, because it's not unheard of that they do community projects outside of their own town. So I think we need to broaden our scope and see if we can, and that would be one way to incorporate other towns in this, it is a regional trail. So what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, especially Framingham, it's because of the location of it.
Exactly. So it might be fun it might be another opportunity to get more people, scouts to help. So we'll see. So I can reach out and see what we can find out about that. Okay, great. Any other questions on that? Okay, so budget. So I circulated to you a budget cycle's upon us, and as we had talked a little bit last time, I love the Northern Lights, Will. That's a great background. Sorry, I have to say. I did not get to see them when I was in Iceland, and I was sad. Anyway. So as we talked last meeting, DPW suggested that boards and committees and commissions that have control of certain properties do their own contracting and maintenance of those. So that falls under their budget. So we're due to share with Tim Davis our budget needs for this fiscal year 25. So I'm going to open up the stuff I sent you, so we can go over that. Recreation Commission, who we are under, is going to be voting tomorrow on that information. So they may come back with some questions, which we should be prepared to answer. So I'm going to share screens now. Let me just pull this email up, keep it. Actually, I don't want to share any of this. Okay, that's better.
Oops.
Um, And one, hold on, I'm just getting files open and
Which one are you looking for? The map?
no, I'm gonna open up the spreadsheet and show us
Okay.
everything here. Okay, let me know when you see a spreadsheet that just has 11-14 budget.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. So this is the high level summary. I'm gonna go to the details for just a moment. This
Yeah.
is gonna be this one. So initially our budget has been 1750. I'm gonna switch screens again. So this 1750 was what we had for last year and this year. And that was based on some preliminary numbers on trail maintenance, education and skill building, maps, outreach, and administrative costs. And that has served us well so far. We tried to increase it by $100 last year just to kind of help offset some mowing expense, but we were asked not to change the budget, so we stayed at 1750. So this year, because we've been asked to switch transfer existing budget that's already been built in from DPW to trails, it's going to appear that our budget is increasing, but it really is just transferring from one department to another. I just want to make that really clear for folks. So the existing mowing, I'm going to pull up the contract that DPW shared. That would be Bill Cunniff. So this is the current contract, and as you can see, the Sudbury Reservoir Trail, Parkerville to East Main, it's $300 per mow, 4 times a year. That's going to be spring, summer, and fall, mostly spring, summer, and it's a total of $1,200 that the town has been paying, or DPW has been paying on behalf of trails. So we need to switch that money over to trails.
Yeah.
Do we have a fixed price on that? It's not going to rise.
So I called them and I called J&J and asked him, can you please provide an estimate of what 2024 costs will be? And he indicated that he needs to add $100 per mow to adjust for inflation and various costs. So next year we should anticipate the $1,200 being $1,600 for the basic mow. So it'd be $400 per mow 4 times a year.
Then why does it say 1,600 there?
This here, because this is our current proposed budget. So that's why it says 1,600, because he is saying that the next year's budget, next year's cost.
Oh, so this is next year's budget. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, this is fiscal year 25, which will come into effect that's a good point. It's going to come into effect in June, July 1st. So that means the existing contract would have to be covered by DPW until the budget switch over, right? So that's going to cut, I think they start in June. So at least one of the mows still has to be covered by DPW. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, let's just keep it like that. Don't make it too confusing.
Well, I'm not making it confusing. They made it confusing, but I'm just now thinking about that, the schedule wise. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
However,
Okay.
So what I did to accommodate that is I brought these numbers down just a little bit. How did I bring them down? Yeah, so you see the 42, 32, 442, 320, 300, 215, and 300. So on the distributed one, I brought those down a little bit just to kind of help offset some of the cost of mowing. Because also the trail maintenance, the tools and things we have purchased through ARPA money. So we will have ongoing maintenance costs, like we'll have to buy posts and things like that as we install things. But, I just brought it down a little bit to kind of offset. So then the quote for, I asked back in November of 2022, when we were doing the estimate, we wanted to add an additional mow to the contract. And I spoke with email J&J, Justin, and asked him to give a quote, and his quote came in $1,200 to $2,200, depending on how much time it took to do the mow. And let me pull up the map so that we're all comfortable with what I am referring to here. Okay, So the objective, can you see the map now?
Yeah.
Okay, so the objective is this section of Mow, this is off of
Just-
Ward Road.
Just blow it up a little bit better. You could
Yep,
probably
yep.
see it a lot better. There you
There
go. Perfect.
There we go. Okay, so this is Ward Road, right? This is how you access from this point. This section of trail becomes unhikeable, unusable for much of the year. Right now, MWRA mows it twice a year. This is their section. This whole orange line that you see is their. I believe they mow this section too, because, but although I've never really seen it overgrown, because I don't know if that's because it's maintained. More people use it, so it has more of a path, but
Does it become unhikeable because of the growth?
yeah, the growth of the grass. So our objective and what we're trying to do is just add one more mow for the year to make it a little bit more usable for folks.
Yep.
Okay. So the reason and so he said it's $100 an hour to do the bush hog mowing, right? And so he doesn't know yet until you do it to really understand how much time it's going to take to stop, start, get around the road, get around the gate. There's a lot of time spent doing that, as well as, is it wet? Is it passable? Those types of things. So, so the cost is really unknown, and what we'll plan to do. So what I did for the budget is he said 1,200 to 2,200. So I went with the 1,200 number, and what I'm hoping to do is we'll walk with him in the beginning of the year. And if we have to decrease the amount that we're mowing, and for example, if it's just this Lynbrook to here because I think from Deerfoot to Lynbrook is passable most of the year. And if we had to cut off some of this for the quote to be more reasonable, we can do that. So, and then we can plan for future years as needed. So that's the idea, is to start with the whole thing. If he feels like that's too much, or if it's too much from our budget that we can't afford it, then we cut down what we're mowing, what we're adding to the mow.
So,
Okay.
so we're just gonna go $1,200, and we're gonna see how much we can get for 1,200.
That's right.
And,
Yeah.
and so is there a note there? This is adding. So yeah, okay, you have it all there.
Yeah. And so that's why, so the total budget is 4377. So now I'm going to go to this is the annotated budget. I go to the distributed budget and basically just added it all up. So 4250 is the flat number.
Why
So
the two different numbers? You have 4377, now it's 4250.
Yeah, I just went to,
But
because what I
why-
did was, because the difference is these numbers I cut down a little bit. Remember when I
Okay,
mentioned?
okay.
Yeah. So let's round this up. So these numbers are equaling right now rows 7 through 11. The core budget
1577.76.
1577, right? And now they're equal to 1450. So I just
Yeah.
brought it down a little bit just to kind of make it a little bit more manageable.
Yeah.
And so our total would be 4250.
So of that 2,800, I'm just stating the obvious. We're
Mhm.
assuming DPW 1,600 of that, and been asking for an additional mow along 2.3 miles for $1,200. So
That's right.
so our budget only, you could say our budget increased without the passing through of DPW X amount of dollars.
1,200. Yeah. 1,200 is the new ask.
Yeah.
Outside the increased cost, which we're not going to say that we're asking for more budget because of the increased cost. That's just natural,
Yeah.
the way business happens. But the additional is 1,200, and it's not to, it's essentially to maintain the trails in a more efficient way.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So
That's good.
we'll
That's
hear
good.
from we'll hear from Tim and see if the Recreation Commission has any issues with that.
Hey, so who mows at the end of East Main all the way to the point?
That would be J&J.
So it goes all the way to the electrical tower that's down on Route 30 on the west side of it also?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I don't think he has to mow. I don't know that he mows to the gate.
Well, no. So if you go across Route 30,
Yep.
there's a gate.
Yeah.
That's where we took a lot. That's
the
where a
point.
lot of trash is. And he
Yeah.
goes all the way down and comes back.
To the point. Yeah. Yeah.
And how many times a year do they do that?
4,
Okay.
starting June 16th is roughly when they start.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, where is the point that you're referring to?
On East Main, so say like you're going to Framingham at the Route 30 or East Main,
Okay,
Framingham Road. If you're heading towards Framingham, on your left,
okay.
and it's already accounted for on your right, correct, Catherine? That's the other Parkerville all the way to East Main that you mentioned.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
would be really great is if, and I don't know how we would do this. I'm going to just share screen. So we're looking at a map. Okay. So what Tom was saying is this trail here, like, see how the green line, it actually continues on to this point.
And then it comes
Goes
back.
to, yeah.
Yeah,
And this
exactly.
is like a maintained road. This is like a little roadway, an access road for DCR.
What are they doing down there? There's a lot of heavy equipment down there for the last
Yeah.
month.
You're talking about 9/11?
No,
down
exactly
here.
where you were.
Oh yeah. So they've been putting in boat ramps. So they've been communicating with me about boat ramp installation behind 9/11. So if you've seen a lot of heavy equipment back here,
That's where they're bringing
something
it in.
similar.
Okay, that makes sense.
Might be. But
That's where they bring it in to move it out to the boat ramps.
oh, maybe. The other thing is, like, I would love to be able to, if we could work it out, you know how, so they stop at Parkerville and then go all the way to East Main. And Will, you and Tom and I think Sati have also been out there with me between Deerfoot and Parkerville. That's a very popular area right near the spillover, the spillway, and it has 2 arms of the trail that go into one, right? That's where there's a historical sign project, interpretive sign project to look over the Burnett House. That always needs a ton of maintenance, and we're usually a little late to the game. And I know we have those sideboards, but it would be great if we could get them to just mow that little section. Like, it really, it's so small, and they don't have to, because I think this other section is maintained by whoever owns this land. It
Right,
just happens to be the trails abutting it, so they do it all the way to the buffer, and it's literally this little sliver here. If they could just add that, that would be, and that's a high use trail, a lot of runners go through there, that would be really beneficial to us. So it might be like, okay, well, you don't have to necessarily do the little sliver in between Lynbrook and Maine, although that would be nice to have. We really need, if we needed to kind of parse our mowing and try to do it that way.
Why don't we just ask for all of it in this budget? I mean,
yeah, we'll see what J&J will do.
Yeah, if they would do that, because might as well put all what we want for mowing instead of adding this, adding that.
Well, we remember we added a section 2. They added this little piece.
But we get all these complaints about people, their grass is above their sneakers and stuff. It's either put up or shut up at town meeting.
Yeah. I know it is tricky. But it would be nice if we could get a system where the maintenance is, we do some of our maintenance, that's fine, have work parties when we can. But if some of the core maintenance can just be maintained on a regular basis, it would be better for everybody, I think.
Agreed. The mowing stuff is the easiest thing to keep down.
Yeah.
Is there any maintenance associated with the Southborough Open Land Foundation trails that go back into the woods?
They do have maintenance, but they maintain it because they're non-Southborough organization. Okay. They're a private land trust, so they maintain it in that way.
And we're actually, Catherine, correct me if I'm wrong, we took over the responsibility from, I forgot from who, at that Ward Hall, when we go to Ward, take a left and you go into the woods heading towards Westboro. Yes,
that's right. So Sudbury Valley Trustees.
Yeah, I forgot which organization, but yes, we took on maintaining a little bit of stuff in the woods, and that's where you can't mow there. It's no mowing.
No, that's not a mowing situation. That's more of a cutting brush back.
Exactly.
So here's Ward Road. The trail follows my mouse, and then in this
we
area,
can't see you, but I know what you mean. No.
Oh, did I
can't see your screen?
Oh, good for me. Anyway, but yeah, so
I know what you mean.
Okay.
I actually go that way a lot, so I know that area.
So it goes down to Bigelow Road. It meets Bigelow, like it's in the Cedar Crane Swamp area.
Yep.
But yeah, so we actually need to look at that next year. And we also need to, as part of this, develop our work plan for DCR, for the public access plan, that agreement that we put in the MOA. We need our next step was to develop a work plan. So this will all be part of that, understanding what sections we're going to be, and we'll just just need to draft that up and get that in the agreement.
We have, I mean, you probably have in your mind, I know, Catherine, but we should probably put it in the spreadsheet of our mowing stuff, maybe another
We
tab.
do. We
When
have we started a spreadsheet and our maintenance requirements.
Oh, no, I'm just thinking when an organization comes to us.
Yep.
We have a spreadsheet of, like I said, the end award hole that we were just talking about. That's a couple of hours with, I don't know, half dozen teenagers. We'll zip through all that stuff very nicely.
I agree. And so what we've done in the past couple of years is really establish when the schedule needs to happen. When, we've been out there a few times, we can go back and look at our records. When were the highest peak times that we needed to get trail maintenance done, especially in the spring when everyone floods to the trails because it's warm weather. We really want them in good shape. So, and I think we can also, Tom, to your point, so we have a spreadsheet, we can work on it and just update it to see what the monthly maintenance needs are per section of trail. And you remember we had a naming convention. We numbered the trail sections. So we
we did that for the, what do you call it? The trail
volunteer program. Yeah. So it would be nice if we could start thinking about in the coming months, a volunteer community service day for everybody in Southborough, and just advertise it and have everybody come out.
And then we have our list of what we need done.
Yeah. And you just come pick out your paper. You go, if you need tools, we meet at the shed, you get your tools, but you got to bring them back. You got to give us your name. Maybe you leave a license for your tools and then you bring it back and get your license back.
Because people sell them on eBay all the time.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
Okay. So that's
perfect.
that. I'll let you know about any feedback from Tim, and I'll be making the calls and getting everything ready for the community preservation application and update the quote and things like that. So I think the only next order of business is, I do have to share, we got a call from a trail abutter that asked for us to replace signs at the Southborough Land Foundation, the Beals Preserve at the bridge there, just to let people know the trail is not permitted for this side. We already purchased duplicate signs for that, so I'll just go out and put up another sign. I think one of them fell down.
Who put the sign out, talking about signs and directing, who put the ones down at the end of Ward to go the correct side of the aqueduct? It's so misleading. We gotta
You mean the yard sign?
Yeah, it's so misleading.
That says go that way?
It actually says, instead of going down the road part, the vehicles drive, you can either go on the left side of the aqueduct, which would be the south side, or the north side. Our trails are on the south side of the aqueduct, but every time I go there, I know where to go, but it's very confusing.
So is it the yard sign that's confusing, or
all the signs are just, I think that's something we gotta just probably do a work party just to put a couple of posts appropriately located.
We have to put the posts carefully so the mowing.
I know, and that's the problem, because a lot of the signs are on the trees and they're too far away and you don't really know.
Yeah, and speaking of posts, we do need to put a post in at the end of Ward Road, replace that rotting post, and there's the post that DPW shared at right near our shed that's fallen over at the 90-degree turn at the cemetery.
Yep.
We have to replace that. But now we can start using some of that lumber that's been on off of Deerfoot Road that's been lining the trails that might be in the way of the mowing. So we can start using that lumber as repurposing lumber and and moving it away so we can get mowing in there. That's great.
Yeah.
Resources on hand, right? So,
hey, do we, in our tool shed, do we have a post digger?
We have multiple post digger because
I don't remember seeing one, but yes. Okay.
Yeah, I donated them after I acquired some tools from the recycle page, which we should always keep our eyes open for.
Okay.
So we have a couple of post hole diggers. Not so sure how they work well in New England, but that's okay. Okay, so do we want to look quickly on our calendars for the last week of November? I already know the 30th is out because we have a master plan implementation committee, Will. So is anyone available on the 28th or the 29th? That's a Tuesday or a Wednesday at 7.
This
Hang on
month,
1 second.
28th November,
What was that, Sati?
28th November, you mean?
28th, the Tuesday?
Do we have an MPIC meeting this Thursday?
No, it's the 30th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's fine.
the
Great.
28th works for everybody.
Hang on.
This will be an important meeting to get input and stuff. So if you can make it, that would be super awesome. We can be
Hang on.
very succinct because we're just gonna be making some major decisions, you know,
Hang on.
altering decisions.
This is the 28th.
This is a Tuesday.
Yep, sounds good.
Good, okay.
28th works fine. 29th also works fine.
Yeah, this looks good.
Well, wait, hang on, let me just check one last thing.
Yeah. I should,
28th, yeah, both those are good.
thank you.
This will be 7:30.
Yeah.
Start time.
Eastern
7:30, yeah.
Standard, right?
Yeah, and I'll make sure I put this agenda, I'll have to put it in next week because of the Thanksgiving. I need to make sure I remember to do that.
You know, this might be the last year of Eastern Standard. Who knows?
Oh, we
Last
can
year,
only be
what?
so lucky.
Of what?
We
Well,
can,
I would prefer that we don't go into daylight savings. We just stay
Oh,
on-
me too.
yeah, we just stay.
Yeah.
We're actually in Eastern Standard Time now.
We are, yes, we are.
We should stay in
Daylight,
daylight savings.
please. Yeah, but I think I heard an argument for children.
Yeah,
Oh, come on. That's the stupidest argument. I go down to Atlanta. It's dark in the morning until like 8 o'clock. That is the stupidest thing. Oh, so
I
the
don't
people
know.
in
I
New
don't-
England are stupid and they can't go to the bus.
I don't want them to go to school in the dark either, but anyway.
Oh, that is
Okay.
so dumb. When they made that argument, and when I went down to Atlanta and I got up and it was like 8 o'clock and it was still dark, I'm like, that's a stupid argument.
Okay.
Sorry to rant.
No, that's fine. I like rants. I do. Okay, so great. So if we're good to go, then does someone want to make a motion to adjourn at 8:14 p.m.?
So moved.
Okay. A second?
I second.
Thank you, Sati. Okay, let's do a roll call. Will Warren,
Aye,
Satyana Sharma,
Yes.
Will Warren.
aye.
Oh, sorry, Tom Coolier. I was looking at you.
Aye.
Cat McKee. Aye. Great. Okay,
Hey,
thank
more-
you all.
hey,
And what?
Something else, completely unrelated to trails. I was gonna say, Bill, remember a couple of weeks ago, you said you had like a